So I'd say about 99.9% of the story times I tell on this channel, I almost always end the video off by saying, don't do what I did. And that is going to be the moral of the story for probably the rest of time. But this story time I'm about to tell is specifically one of the biggest examples of do not do what I did. Because this could have gone, I mean, it did go terribly, but it could have gone even worse. It's a good one. It's a crazy one. It's an all-around ridiculous one. I hope you enjoy it. Leave a like on the video if you do. And let's get into today's story time. So, throughout the years of my teenage youth and my early adulthood, I've gotten robbed a bit. Yeah, talked about quite a few of those on this channel. It depends on what you consider being robbed. I know some people, when they think getting robbed, they think like a dude in a mask running up and putting like a weapon near your face and stealing from you. I consider it like just someone stealing from you in general. Like I've had friends who I thought were best friends steal from me, and I consider that like getting robbed because they fucking stole from me. I'm sure that's what most of you consider it as well, but I've seen some people try and tell me like, bro, that's not being robbed. You just got like stolen from. Being robbed is when like someone like threatens you and like is in a mask, and I'm like, dude, fuck you. So anyway, yeah, I've talked about it on this channel a bunch, but a lot of people have stolen from me throughout the years. Part of the reason being is I'm just not good at picking friends sometimes. Other reasons being, some people just aren't the best, some people are just evil. But yeah, guys, today's story time is about one of those times where I was stolen from. And this is a lot more serious than the average, story on this channel about, someone stealing from me. So this story time all starts off as a regular day back when I was 16, just like the last two. The last two story times I told on this channel all take place very closely connected with this one I'm about to tell. It was a very unlucky time in my life, let's just say that, okay? So this story time all starts off like any other day back then. It was actually the weekend, so I woke up with not a care in the world. It was actually so late in the day. I remember waking up at 2 p.m. on this day, and my mom was yelling at me because waking up at 2 p.m. is pretty fucking late, I would say. But yeah, I got up out of bed, took a shower, ate lunch because breakfast was long gone, and I was just sitting at my kitchen table on my phone scrolling Twitter, just doing nothing, right? And while I'm scrolling Twitter, I'm super bored. I want to do something. I don't want to be in the house all day, especially on the weekend. So I got out of that app, I opened my messages, and I start texting friends of mine, just seeing what the move is, because I did not want to spend my entire day, just weekend doing nothing. So after texting 3 or 4 people, my friend Colin hit me back and he said that he was down to hang out and he said I could sleep over at his house that night. And I was down for that. I want to get out of the house. I want to do something. So I went up to my mom and I was like, hey mom, can I sleep at Colin's tonight? And she was like, sure. When do you want to go? And I was like, whenever you could take me. And she's like, okay, how's 5 o'clock sound? I'm like, sounds great. So I hit Colin back and I was like, yo, I'll be there at 5 if that's cool with you. He's like, that's fine. And yeah, I had plans for the night. I was excited. Now here's the thing about Colin, the person I was going to hang out with. This dude was a stoner, a very big one. Out of all my friends at the time, I would say he was the number one biggest stoner out of all of them. That dude, pretty much 9 times out of 10, if you were hanging out with him, he would be high. And that didn't bother me. I mean, we all know how I was back in the day. I would be lying if I said I was any different. So yeah, he was honestly the perfect friend for me at the time. So yeah, I went to Colin's house at about 5 o'clock. I got there. We actually had another friend of ours pulling up an hour later, our friend Dylan. So that was going to be cool. It was going to be us 3 and we were going to be spending the night at Colin's. So yeah, I was excited for the night, right? So after I get there, an hour or so later, Dylan pulls up and we're just all hanging out at Colin's house. Just chilling, having a normal night, right? Now, a few hours later, Colin's parents go to bed. And Colin was an only child, so those were the only people in the house besides us. He didn't have any other siblings or anything. So after his parents went to bed upstairs, it was just me, Colin, and Dylan in the living room, just kind of sitting there, right? And we all kind of had the same idea simultaneously. I remember Colin looking up and he goes, yo, my parents are asleep. Do you guys want to go out back and smoke? And I was like, dude, you read my mind. And honestly, he did. And even Dylan was like, I'm glad you said something because I was gonna. So we all had the same idea. And here's the issue, though. We didn't have anything to smoke. None of us had any weed. And that was a problem if we wanted to smoke. So immediately we start brainstorming. First, Dylan asked me if I know anyone to buy some from. And at the time, I usually would. But I'm not going to lie. The person I was buying from got caught. And he was pretty young. He was 17. And his parents found out. and they sent him to a camp for bad kids. The man got shipped away to essentially a boot camp for kids. So he was no longer in the question. I could not buy any weed from him, so I had no plug. And I told them that, and they were like, fuck. And Dylan didn't have anybody, period. He didn't have anyone to buy it from. So it was left in Colin's hands. I asked Colin, I was like, do you know anybody? And I surely thought that he would know somebody. I mean, with how much that dude was always stoned, I figured he had like 18 plugs. But turns out, around the same time my dude got busted, so did Colin's. Colin's situation was a little bit different. The dude he was buying from was like an actual like older dude and got in trouble with the cops and stuff. So yeah, we had nobody. So we had a couple options. One, just give up and go and just have a nice normal night at Colin's house and not smoke. Or two, start asking around, trying to find connections and people we could buy from. So us being desperate, we chose option 2. And the next thing I know, we are texting almost everybody in our contacts list, just being like, yo, where I can get some weed? Yo, do you got any plugs? Like, yo, can you hook me up? Like, just everyone, right? I probably texted about 11 people, and so did they. And I actually had some luck. This kid that I knew named Tyler, who was like a year older than me, and that I met through one of my cousins, hit me back. And he said that he knew somebody and that he could put me onto him and give me his number. And I was like, thank you so much. That'd be awesome. And next thing I know, he sent me his contact info. And I was texting this random dude being like, yo, my name's Austin. I know Tyler. Can you hook me up? I'm looking to get this much. And like 5 minutes later, he responds and he goes, that's not enough. If you want me to come to you, you got to get more. Because originally we were trying to get like a dub, like $20 worth, right? Now, he didn't want to drive all the way to our house unless we were buying more, so we agreed to double that. We're like, how about 40? And he's like, fine, that works, but you got to give me gas money too. And we were like, all right, sure. So I replied, and I was like, cool, that works. So all in all, we owed this guy like $45, which was fine by us. We didn't really care. It seemed worth it to us, right? So we're just waiting now. We're in Colin's living room, waiting for this plug to pull up who we had never met, and we're kind of trying to like come up with a plan. At first, we all had a plan to just have all 3 of us go out there and like get in his car and buy it. But then we thought about it, and we were like, that'd be kind of weird to have 3 people go. So we decided that I was going to be the dude to go out there and do it. Like, I was going to be the one going out there, getting in the car with him, buying the weed, getting out, and then going back inside, all alone, right? And that kind of made me nervous, I can't lie, because getting in a random stranger's car, especially for that reason, it could lead to bad stuff. Who knows? I could get robbed. I could, like get hurt. Who knows, right? A lot of bad things could go wrong. And obviously, I'm going to say it right now before I go any further. Don't do that, okay? Don't repeat the things you hear in my story times. I just got to say that for y'all's safety. Learn through me. But anyway, yeah, that was the plan. I was going to go out there by myself, get in the car with this dude, and make the transaction because my friends just thought that it made the most sense. I was the one who found him. I was the one who hit him up and was texting him. So my friends just thought, it'd probably make the most sense if you did it. So I was down for that. And like I said, I was a little bit nervous, but I was kind of just like, fuck it. It'll be fine. I'll be okay, right? Now, about 5 or 10 minutes later, this dude pulls up. And he sends me a text. He goes, I'm outside. And this dude pulled up right in the driveway with like his brights on. So his lights were like shining all through the windows and being real bright. And I'm not going to lie, we were all kind of freaked out that Colin's parents were going to wake up. So I ran out there real quick and got in the back seat because I wanted this to go quickly so his parents didn't wake up. So yeah, I get in the backseat of this car. It's dark in there. I can barely see the dude. I don't even know what he looks like or like how old he is still because it's so dark. And like 5 seconds after I'm in the car, he turns like the overhead light on in his car and I can finally get a look at this guy. And this dude was way younger than I thought he was going to be. I thought he would be like a, grown ass man, but this dude looked like he was 16 or 17, like my age. And that was the first thing I said. I was like, how old are you? And he gives me like a dirty look and he goes, why do you want to know? And I was like, oh, my bad, man. You look kind of like my age, so I want to see. And he goes, yeah, we're probably the same age. And I'm like, nice, that's sick. And after that, he reaches into this can that he had in his front cup holder. It was like this emptied, like hollowed out can that he probably once used for like baked beans or something. I don't even know. But he pulls out this little bag that has some weed in it, and he hands it to me, and he goes, all right, there you go. And I'm not going to lie, guys. This dude was scamming me, okay? This was not $40 worth at all. We're talking like maybe $15, $20 worth, not 40, all right? And I had 2 choices here. Option 1 was just get out of the car, take the scam, just don't question it and deal with us losing our money and not getting what we paid for. And option 2 was call this dude out and be like, hey man, can you give me a little bit more? And usually I would pick option 1, but given the fact that this kid was like the same age as me, I thought, you know what? He's probably not sketchy. I'm going to call him out and be nice about it. So I did. I was very nice. I was like, hey man, like, not to be a dick here, but like, I think we paid for a little more than this. Can you like hook it up with just a few more nugs? And he goes, no, that's what you paid for. And I was like, bro, not trying to be a dick once again, but like, this is not what we paid for. And he goes, oh yeah, are you a plug? Do you have a scale? You want to weigh it? And I was like, no, dude, but I'm just saying, like, it really doesn't look like this is what we paid for. And he goes, I don't give a fuck. Get out of my car. And he's getting like real mad, right? So once again, had 2 choices: get out of the car and deal with it, or keep calling him out. I chose option 2, which was stupid of me. But once again, I thought, this kid's like the same age as me. We're similar builds. Like, if it breaks out into a fight, I'll be okay. So I call him out again, and I'm like, dude, can you please just like give me half the cash back, or like give me what we paid for? And he looks at me and he gives me kind of a smile. And he goes, you know what? You're right. I got you, dude. My bad. And he turns over to his right and he reaches over to his glove compartment and he pops it open. And I can't really see what he's grabbing because the seat's in the way. But next thing I know, he reaches his arm around the seat and he's holding what appears to be a pistol. And I am like shitting myself on the inside now, thinking like, dude, I wish I had a fucking time machine so I could just like rewind time and go back to when I didn't call him out and just not call him out and avoid this whole situation. Because now your boy was terrified. And he's holding this thing in my face and he goes, so I was being nice before, but now I'm not going to be so nice. Empty your wallet. And I'm like, dude, come on. And he's like, nah, empty your fucking wallet now. And he proceeded to take the rest of my cash, which wasn't that much. I think it was like $20 more. He took this Visa gift card that I had that was like preloaded with like $50 on it. So that was gone. And after he took these things, he looks at me and he goes, get the fuck out of my car. And I listened this time, man. I was not going to question him because, well, the dude was holding a weapon to my face. So obviously I'm not questioning that. So yeah, I got up out the car. I went inside. And I forgot to mention, but the funniest thing about this is he let me keep the weed he gave me. So I still did have like the, $20 or so worth of weed that he had given me, even though he ripped me off. I mean, we got to keep that at least. But anyway, I walked inside and I had to explain to my friends that I questioned the amount he was giving me and then he robbed me. So yeah, that sucked. And they were like, he robbed you? Like, no way. And I had to like show them my wallet and how empty it was. Also forgot to mention, he let me keep my phone, which was nice. So that was, I guess, nice of the thief to let me keep my phone. But yeah, after I explained to my friends that, I got a little too ballsy and called this guy out and then got robbed, they were just happy I was okay. And, they told me, like, in the future, if we ever had to meet up with anybody again, they would all come with me so this doesn't happen. And they were just trying to be good friends, right? Now, after this, we just went out back and we smoked this little bit of weed that we got because we were all just stressed and, kind of sad and the vibe was kind of killed. So we wanted to, like, bring the mood up a bit. And I'm not going to lie, man, even though the dude completely ripped me off, it was some good shit. Now, after we got done smoking, we went back inside. I was in a much more lighthearted mood now because obvious reasons. But there was definitely still a part of me that was bummed. So I pulled up on my phone and I texted the dude that connected me with this plug, my friend Tyler. I texted Tyler and I was like, hey, man, I know it's not your fault, but whoever you put me onto, robbed me. And like immediately he texts back in all caps, what the fuck? And then he calls me and I answer. And he's like, dude, you got robbed? Are you serious? Like he robbed you? I'm like, yeah. He goes, bro, like I've been buying from this dude for months. Like he is trustworthy. Let me hit him up. Let me see if I can get your shit back. And I was like, all right, thank you. And like a couple minutes goes by after he hangs up and he calls me back and I answer. And he's like, my bad, bro. I tried to call, but he didn't answer. Like, I'll hit him up tomorrow or something. Like, once again, I'm so sorry. I was like, bro, it's not your fault. Like, I'm kind of the one that called him out for ripping me off and, the robbing ensued. And he was like, yeah, but still, man, that's bullshit. Fuck that. You shouldn't be getting ripped off or robbed. That's not cool. And I was like, I know, man, but still, it's not your fault. And he's like, still, bro, I put you in contact with this dude. I feel bad. And I was like, I know, but like, don't beat yourself up. That's all I'm trying to say. He's like, I got you. Now, after this, the rest of that night was pretty normal, I would say. We actually had a pretty good time at Colin's house. The next day rolls around, though, and this story time gets a little bit more interesting. So the next morning I wake up, Colin's parents were making breakfast. They made a whole bunch of waffles and a whole bunch of eggs, and they had the whole spread out. It was nice. And after we got done eating, it was time for me to leave. It was time for me to go back home. I had my brother on the way picking me up. And my brother pulls up to the house, and I said goodbye to Dylan and Colin, thanked his parents for having me. And after this, I left the house, went outside, got in my brother's car. And the first thing my brother says was, "How was your sleepover?" And I was like, "Good." He's like, "You do anything fun? Anything interesting happen?" And I was like, "No, not really. Just kicked it. Smoked a little bit of weed." And he goes, "Yeah?" And I was like, "Yeah." And my brother knew I smoked. He was always kind of chill with it because he was older than me. So he knew what it was like to be my age. And yeah, after I told him that I smoked with my two friends last night, he asked me where I get it from. He's like, "Who do you buy it from?" And I go, "Oh yeah, funny story. Last night I had to try someone new and it didn't go so well." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I had to explain to my brother like that I got robbed essentially at, gunpoint. And he starts freaking out. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, do you know who did it? Like, who put you in contact with him? I want to fucking know." And he's tweaking, right? Like, he wants to know who did it because he wants to get revenge. And I'm like, "Dude, just chill. Like, this is why I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want you to act like this and then put yourself in danger. Like, it's in the past. We're good." And he's like, "In the past? This shit happened less than 24 hours ago. Fuck that. I'm not letting someone rob my little brother." And I was like, "Dude, it's fine. Like, you live and you learn. I'm good." He's like, "Nah, fuck that. Like, I'm getting your money back. Who did it?" And I was like, "I don't know who did it, like, honestly." And he goes, "Okay, then who put you onto them? Who gave you the connect?" And I was like, "Tyler." And he goes, "Tyler blank," and he says his last name. He knew Tyler through me because I'd have him over sometimes. And I was like, "Yeah, that Tyler." He goes, "All right, we're taking a ride." And this dude puts the car in reverse, backs out of the driveway, and puts us en route to Tyler's house. And like 10 minutes later, we pull up to Tyler's house. He tells me to wait in the car, and he just goes up to Tyler's house, opens the door, and walks inside. And like 10 minutes later, he comes back out with a piece of paper with an address written on it. And after that, he drives me home, drops me off at our house, and then tells me he'll be back. And he drives off. And now I'm freaking out inside because I know what's happening. My brother's on the way to that plug's house, like by himself, with like no backup. And I know that plug had a weapon, so like I'm really scared, right? I don't know what's gonna happen to my brother. So I'm just waiting at my house by myself in my room, playing COD, trying not to have a panic attack because I'm scared my brother's about to get hurt. And like 45 minutes later, I hear my brother's car pull in, and I look out the window, and my brother gets out of the car, completely untouched, looking fine. He walks into our house, comes down the hallway, opens my bedroom door, shuts it, walks up to me, and proceeds to throw a $100 bill on my desk and a pistol, like the pistol that I saw last night. And I look at my brother and I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck is this? What is this?" And he's like, "It's an airsoft gun." The kid didn't have a real gun. It's just some stupid airsoft gun. He spray painted the tip black instead of orange. So yeah, he was just scaring you. And I was like, "You met him? Like you talked to him?" He goes, "Fuck yeah, I did. I know his older brother." So turns out that this kid, the kid that robbed me, the plug, he had an older brother that my brother went to school with and like he grew up with and like was close with. So yeah, when my brother found out that this kid that robbed me was related to somebody that he was close with, he just went over there and like fucking basically told the older brother like, "Yo, your little brother robbed my little brother. Like, let's do something about it." And they both just went into his room and I guess just pressed the shit out of him. According to my brother, that's what they did. And I guess all the cash he had on him was like $100 because I think he was still like $10 short of what he owed me. And they took the airsoft gun too to like make up for it. So yeah, I got $100 and a new airsoft gun out of it. I didn't really want the airsoft gun because that shit looked a little bit too much like a real pistol. We actually ended up spray painting it a few months later to a different color because it just looked too realistic. But yeah, I got my money back essentially and an airsoft gun out of it. And the kid actually apologized. He told my brother to say sorry for him. So yeah, it's actually pretty funny how that worked out. And it doesn't even end there. So a couple years later, like 2 years down the line, right? I was at a party with my brother at his friend's house, and everybody there was way older than me, and I was just like chilling there with my brother. And I see this one other dude at the party that kind of looks like he's a little bit younger, like my age, and he looks familiar, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then it hits me. I'm like, holy shit, that's the dude that robbed me a couple of years ago. And he like sees me and he comes over to me and he goes, "Hey man, do you remember me?" And I was like, "Yeah, how could I forget?" And he's like, "Dude, let me just be the first to say, like, I'm sorry. I definitely ripped you off that night. I thought I was some cool, like, big shot plug. I thought I was, like, in a movie or something trying to act tough. And, like, I realized so fast that shit is so lame. So, like, my bad. And I was like, all good, dude. Like, in the end, everything worked out. And he puts his hand out. We shake hands. And we, like, made up. It was really weird. We, like, became cool. And we just spent the next 10 minutes, like, talking about, you know, the last couple of years and just, like, what we're doing now. And he ended up, like, not being a plug for very long. I guess, like, a couple months later, he stopped doing that shit and just got a job and, you know, kind of stayed out of that because he said he wasn't built for it, which is fair. And, yeah, I mean, it seemed like he was doing good. I was doing good. I'd say in the end, it was a very happy ending. I mean, I got my money back, which is crazy. And then a couple years later, I made a friend out of it. So, yeah, wild. And I still see him from time to time, and we're friendly. So, yeah, I mean, in the end, it all worked out. But still, the moral of the story is, do not do any of the things I spoke about in this story time, because it could have gone so much worse. Like, imagine if he didn't have an airsoft gun, and it was a real one. Yeah, could have gone a lot worse. But yeah, guys, that's into the story time. Definitely a crazy one. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I will see you guys all later. Peace.
I be fully loaded, I be whipping foreign cars. Always stay devoted, mama knew I'd be a star. Now I'm steady flowing.